Good afternoon and good morning to all of you. I would like to thank you for joining us on the call today. My name is Kathleen Verbeek and I'm the Director of Marketing for Kodak. On behalf of all the presenters, I want to welcome you to our session for today, which is the Boosting Integration and Automation with Kodak and Multipress. The call today will take about 40 to 45 minutes with a Q&A session at the end. You can raise your questions through the question box and we will cover them at the end of the session. Just feel free, you can raise your questions at any time during the session. The webinar will be recorded and everyone will receive a link at the end of the session. Also those that have registered and are now not on the call yet, everyone will get the link. As we do appreciate your feedback, there will be a short survey at the end of the session where we are going to collect some of your feedback. It should not take you longer than 2 minutes, so we would appreciate if you could spend that extra time with us. With this, I like to basically present the presenters for today. So we have Christophe Kroon from Dataline, who is the product director. We have Thomas Lefevre, who is a Kodak expert on professional services. And then we have Ari Ruitenberg, who is the pre-sales consultant for Benelux. And with this, I would like to hand it over to Christophe.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm very glad to see that so many people have joined us. For those who are not familiar with Dataline, we provide an ERP MIS system for over more than 20 years. We started up in commercial printing and having nowadays a tool that covers 100% of all the processes in a printing company. We're doing this for every type of business. Like you see, we have something for offset, digital, large format, finishing, rotation. It's already also many years that we invest in a GDF technology, GDF connections. We believe that the future for a printing company is there for people who are able to create from their pre-press division and their order manager division one big division. It's not having this division, this common division creates a lot of stress in an organization. It creates a lot of double work. It creates a lot of extra costs, which are even not able to detect. So that's the reason why GDF for us is very important. Why should we redo? Why should we rethink again the work that the guy from the calculation has done if we can connect on a high level? That means also that we should be able or should be strong in change management in those companies. I think Dataline has proven the last years that we have this capacity, we have this experience, and that together with the partners, the workflow partners, we are able to achieve this goal. That means also that for us, let's say that just saying that we're GDF compatible is not enough. We want to go further in that, so we look at the tools that we have, we look at the tools of our workflow partners, and we try to connect, we try to put them together so that there's only one tool. Even if there's two softwares, there's only one tool that we use to automate our workflow completely. Looking a little bit to our facts and figures, you will see that it's over 20 years that we started the company. First, we're market leader in the Benelux, but the last 5-6 years, we're growing in Europe. Over 25 countries, over 10,000 data users use our software. And like I told in the beginning, it's a change management tool. The software is important, but it's not the most important. We have to reorganize organizations, so we need the right people at the right place. That means that also our FTEs are growing the last years. I would like to go to the process plan with you, and there you will see that our software covers, like I told, 100% of every process that a printing company needs. We go from calculation, which is the heart of our program, which is logic. We try to calculate as technical as possible, because that will be the information that will be taken over in the pre-press. Over commercial follow-up to order management. We have some integration with pre-flighting with Callas that I will explain later on. 6 and 7 is the part on which we have this webinar today, because there we want to link those two tools and have one division that use those two tools. But for the rest, we are an ERP system, so we cover stock, we cover planning, we cover expedition flow, and we go to invoices and analysis. All those processes are also possible with our API, which is very important. We have an open system. That means that when you say API, when you say connectivity, we come to cooperation with partners. So we have a certified partner program. And whether it's now GDF, which is also a sort of XML connection, or a straight API connection, we try to formalize this partner program so that we can tell to our customers that we have an open platform and that we can, let's say, simulate almost every process that they have today, but connected with our software. I think this is the most important thing for today, for the introduction. I should let the word now to Thomas for the Kodak part.
Thank you, Christophe. So for those who don't know Prinergy, let me introduce Kodak Prinergy workflow. So actually, Prinergy was the first PDF workflow in the world back in 2000. So that means this year we have the celebration of 20 years of Prinergy. We had around 19 major releases during those 20 years, right? But I think what is important, what are the key elements of Prinergy? It's first of all modular, right, and customizable. That means we can add any module of every possible workflow you might need, and we can customize this to your needs, right? So Prinergy can grow with you if you need more power. And second, Prinergy can be highly automated from the beginning till the end, right? So any process that you might see in Prinergy, you can automate. And finally, Prinergy is based on industry open standards, right? So we are compatible with any third-party press equipment you might have. So we know that print industry is not always being the easiest industry. We all know we have sharper profit margins, right? So we have maturity of employee base. It's often a struggle to find good talents and expensive to educate them, right? And maintain the talent. We sometimes lack information to act on, and we need to be more efficient across all the lines. So for all these challenges, we have Prinergy, and we can group them in 5 pillars, right? So these 5 pillars are automation, production, efficiency, security, analytics, and integration. So today we're going to concentrate on the automation and the integration part. The 3 other ones that you see here, production, efficiency, security, analytics, are mainly in our cloud offering, Kodak On Demand, right? And that's our cloud offering in Microsoft Azure. And mind you, the demo we're going to do today is actually run from the clouds, right? But first, let's talk on automation and on integration. So what does that mean? We are end-to-end. So any process you see on a Prinergy workflow, you can automate, right? So this from input. In this case, we take Multipress GDF as input, and we go up to the final output. So we interact with our prepress portal, that's inside for job submission and for approval. And we create automatic imposition based on the information from Multipress, right? So the color can be automatically mapped to the output unit, and this could be digital, offset, flexo. And how we do it is, one important part of Prinergy is that we have our RBA engine. So this is our rule-based automation engine, and this will actually enable you to go even to lights out automation to any output at any time. So the main new development we like to show you today, right, is that we can submit a job from Multipress, and that Prinergy job will be prepared with the refined pages. There will be an automatic imposition, but the pages will be already assigned. That means that the job is ready to make plates without any pre-press operation. So the only thing we need to do is an optional approval, and the plates can be made, right? So to wrap up, what are the key benefits of Prinergy? You can save on euros, right? We reduce costs on every part of pre-press. You can save on time, as we will run faster with less errors. Prinergy can be fully automated, as a light out workflow with no interaction needed. And Prinergy, of course, outputs in best-in-class quality. So we will start with a small demo of a Multipress configured with Prinergy, and we will show you some new developments we make together. Back to you, Christophe.
Thank you, Thomas. That was very clear. So arriving at the main screen of Multipress, you will see again, like I told you in the process plan, different menus and different modules. So the system is completely modular, and we can change it on the needs from the customer. For today, what we want to do is to have two cases. We want to have a sheet-fed job, and we want to create, let's say, more a folding scheme job. Just to show you where the connectivity is, on which level do we talk with each other. For the first job, the job will be made based on a calculation, because calculation is and stays always the heart of the program. So the calculation guys did their job and the customer orders, so we just want to transform this calculation into a job. So going to the job menu, creating a new job will, in this flow, we will be able to calculate, to take a calculation and to transform it into a job. You will see that all the open calculations are in my list, and I double click to transform it, save it, and when I want to change the number of runs, I can still do that in this process. And those 3 clicks has made now my job. And my first job in this case is ready. When we look at the technical part of this job, and we can enter in this job and really going to the offset sheet part, you will see that a technical calculation has been made, a technical sheet-fed calculation has been made, and this sheet-fed calculation contains every parameter we need to automate afterwards the connection with Prinergy. We have the presses, we have the number of colors, we have which colors, we have paper grades, for example. It's also a parameter where color profiles and so on can be linked to. What is the grade? Clicking on the division part, we work with let's say a dynamic division. So the division is recalculated every time for every job. This division is now on screen, and we are even able to change this division. You will see later on when we come in our Prinergy flow that this information, as it is not static but dynamic, will be read by the Prinergy workflow and will be taken over in the prepress. So again, why should an order manager do this and a prepress manager do it again? That has no use. We do it in one system and it's taken over. What's also very important at our system is that we have a flow where we already can control the PDF files. So leaving this screen and going to our workflow part, every job has a technical part and a workflow part. In this workflow part, we can link to the file server, and we're able to slide the PDF already on the right folder so that the PDF is linked with our job. It can be done manually like we do now, but it can be done by an upload from a web platform, a B2B platform, from an API development. So there are many ways to roam in this case. So you can slide the PDF into the folder, and at this moment the PDF is linked to the job. Why do we do that? Because we believe that an order manager has to be able to, as soon as possible, look at the PDF and see if the PDF is well done. Is he printable? So therefore, also from our side, we have an integration with Colors, which is possible. It all depends on the level what you connect with the workflow, but the order manager is here able to see very soon the quality of his PDF. Once that the PDF is in his job and we go to documents, the only thing that he has to do here is to assign this PDF. So on the left side we have our pages, on the right side we have our run list, and doing this assignment is also something that will be taken over in the Prinergy workflow. You see that also the 2 column size and colors are very important, because when there's a warning there, when the dimensions or the number of colors are not corresponding on comparing the PDF with what the customer ordered, the order manager sees that very quickly, and he can take contact with the customer in the first hour. What we see in a lot of cases is that the PDF stays 3 days at an order manager, and then an hour before we have to print, we detect something's wrong and we are not able to go back to the customer, so we have to do some modifications that we don't want to do. So entering now to the Kodak part. We can also send this job by, you have well seen that, Ari, we can also send this job by product part, but in this case it's not necessary, but afterwards it will be perhaps something that we can use. So we go to the Kodak part now, and we send the job, we still have to send it to the workflow. We just have to click on send, and there you will see that the job is sent to the Prinergy workflow, and all the processes, all the GDF processes will be seen in this screen. Also the GMF controllers are seen. So the only thing that the order manager now has to do is close this job, and the system already started up a flow in Prinergy. We are also able to print a job back on the order manager side, but what is very particular here is that this document that you will see now on the screen will also be linked to Prinergy. So even in Prinergy, you can ask the job back of the ERP or the MIS system in a live way. So I think now my colleague next to me, because Pre-Press and Order Manager is in the same room, is ready to finalize this job. So Ari, I think it's your turn to do your job.
Thank you, Christophe, to send the job, and I will show you the job now in Prinergy. After the GDF is sent in Multipress to Prinergy, it will be create directly a job in Prinergy, and automatically they will make a structure with the year and the month. Also, the job when it is created will be moved to a pre-job. It's not really a production job at this moment. It's populate up in the pre-jobs, and you see that the status of the job is now in pre-press. When the job is created, the status will be created. After the PDF is imported and the imposition, the status will be changed to in pre-press. If we open the job now, then we will see that in the field below, the PDF file is arrived. We see the job back, we see that the PDF file is already assigned, and we see the imposition. If we start with the job back, we will see that the job back, if we show in Multipress, is exactly the same in Prinergy. So it's very easy for Pre-Press to have the latest information in the Pre-Press from the job. Then we see here a button for the open job and insights. I will show that in the next job. If we go to the signature, and I will expand it, then you will see that we have a preview of the job. It's a sheet. We already see that one business card is rotated, and if I switch to the list view, we will see that we have also information about binding style, paper, press, and plate, and that kind of info. I will also explain that later in the next job. Automatically, when the PDF files are assigned on the imposition, Prinergy will create a VPS file. The VPS file is a digital file. It's the same that we did in the past on paper. We can open this in Prinergy, and we can check if everything okay. Do we have the right size? Do we have the right paper? Is the trim size okay? Do we have the marks, and do we have the color bar? About marks and color bar, I will explain also that in the next job. That is something that is not coming with the GDF. It will be added by Prinergy. I can switch between front and back in the VPS file, and if everything is okay, I can close my VPS file. And if I go then to separations, then I can approve my VPS file. If we look at the status of the job, we will see now it's in pre-press. When I change the approval,
from the VPS, approve it, then also the status will be changed in the background. And also this information will be sent back to Multipress. In some cases, I will send an email to the customer to approve it, and also in the next job we will show that. After the VPS file is approved, we can output the plate, and in this case we know exactly in the signature what kind of binding style is it, what kind of paper is it, and what kind of press we want to use for this business cards. In the past, we have to select the signatures, and then we go to the output process plan and to select the right one. Now we can read with RBA exactly on which press, what screen ruling is used for that kind of paper. And if we put now on the auto output plates, automatically Prinergy will look at this custom fields and output the signature to the right plate. After we send the plates, this information, the consumer information, will be sent back to Multipress, and we can go back now to Christoph to see what's happened in Multipress.
Thank you, Ari. So for this first case, when we reopen the job, you will see that Multipress has, let's say, a job status list, and the job status that you see in the middle of the screen, status, has now changed automatically to CTP because the plates are made. And when you click on the info part, there you can see on which time this status has been influenced and by whom. So it's Kodak who changed our status. When we go in the workflow part, how does the system get this information? And we double click on the workflow part to go to the Kodak part there. You can see that in the background, all the signal statuses and all the milestones and all the are read and are transformed into information, so that I have all the information needed to judge on this job in my job. So this case showed me status feedback and showed me the link with dynamic imposition and the APA that we can automatically start up in Prinergy. For a second case, when we finish this job, I would like to do it in a different way. I would like to go a little bit more complex and create a brochure with more than one folding scheme and perhaps also printed on different presses. What they will use for this job is our wizard technology. So Multipress has developed a few years ago a wizard technology which lets me or gives me the possibility to create a product configurator. That means for every product I can put in some intelligence in the system, and I'm able to create, let's say in 2 clicks, a complete product with printing, finishing, and every production scheme that we want. It's something between the manual way and the standard way. So there you have some variables that you still can choose, but you can very easily, and even somebody who does not understand very good the printing company is able to make a job on a very technical level. Creating this job, when we say we create a new job, and we will start this time not from a calculation, but really create a new job for perhaps the same customer, Aronson. We can give in some customer letters and give in the brochure 40 pages, for example. So I won't click on new, I won't click on standard, but on the bottom of the page, I click on the wizard. And an extra advantage of this wizard is that this wizard can be filled up by the information that comes from the PDF. So imagine that you have a B2B platform where a customer loads up a PDF. We can transform this PDF completely to a job because we got every information to say, okay, this is a brochure or this is a business card. So what we will do here manually, we will import a PDF file that we have gotten from the customer. And you will see that at the moment that we read this PDF, our system knows exactly what this PDF resembles, and I can use this PDF and import it into my wizard technology. That means that afterwards I'm not asked to redo the assignment because the assignment will be made automatically. So clicking on fill will fill up the complete wizard. The only thing that I have to do is make some some choices. What is the number of runs that I want to print? On which paper do I want to print the body and the cover? That's the intelligence which is still in the wizard and that you can change at the last moment. For example, the finishing, you can say I want to saddle stitch this this job. You can choose the packaging box. I'm not asked to fill in the number of brochures that go in a box because the system has his intelligence and he knows the thickness of the brochure, so he can decide that for me afterwards. So when I click on enter, I have created now in, let's say, 2 clicks, a complete job. When you open this job, going to the technical detail, you will see that a commercial part, that what we call the checklist, is completely filled up. So that's the information that goes to the customer. We go to the offset sheet part where we have, in this case, 3 printing sheets, excuse me. And when we double click on this printing sheet, again, all the technical information has been put in without doing it manually. Clicking on the division part, paper grades again, but clicking on the division part, you will see underneath the screen and at the bottom of the screen that also the GDF folding schemes are already linked to my my print sheet. So that's something that you will see directly afterwards when we send this job to our Prinergy system. And that we have for body, and we have that also for a cover. Also the finishing part is filled up. That's something which is very important. When you enter this one and you go to the finishing part, you will see that the production plan on the finishing side has been given in automatically. He knows that we have to cut, fold, stitch, and package. So this is a complete job ready for production. So entering here again and going to our workflow part, the part that we did with the business card. Also there, you see that the first screen we got is an, let's say the division presentation. We present how this will be produced. And imagine that I, as an order manager, decide to put the 4 pages that is now at the end, to put this between the last 2 folding sheets. I can drag and drop it, and I can reposition it so that this will be taken over in my Prinergy workflow. The documents doesn't have to be re-signed because it has been re-signed by my wizard technology. So the only thing as an order manager that I have to do is go to the Kodak part again and send this job to my production, so that there Ari can finish his job and also there finalize it for production. So we, as an order manager, I finish the job and I will come later on to show you some extra things. Yeah, the job back again will be taken over. So Ari,
yeah,
I think your turn again to show what is the result in Prinergy.
Thank you. We go back to the workshop, and we see that the order is already arrived in the workshop. We see it again as a pre-job. And we see the brochure of 40 pages. We see the order number, what we get from Multipress. We see the run length. And on this moment, the order will be created. Also, we see that the job is web enabled. So that means we can send out later on a web approval to the customer and ask him to approve his job. Also, we have the name from the customer, and we have also the email address. When we open the job, we will see that the imposition is already there, and on this moment, Prinergy is refining the PDF files. We see already that we have the job back. If we open it, exactly what I showed before, all the information from the job is available for the prepress. In the meantime, you see that the page will be refined, and automatically when the signature is full, Prinergy starts to make a virtual proof. If we go again to the signature, we will see that as a list, we will see all the information is coming from Multipress about paper. We see the difference between cover and the body. We see that we print the cover on the 74 press, and we see that we print the body on the 102 press. And also we have ID information from the press. We use that information when we import the GDF for the imposition to add the right color marks and marks on the imposition. In Preps, we have a special tool. It has names the Marks Rule Editor. In the Marks Rule Editor, you can set up, for example, the press name, but also the colors. Is it the 4 color? Is the 5th color? Maybe for special paper sizes, we can add it. But also we can say the work style and the binding style. All that information we can edit on a group of marks, and we automatically add this information during the import of the imposition. On this moment, we will see that the pages are assigned on the imposition. If I go back to my workshop, we will see now the job is in prepress, so the prepress knows this job is ready to be checked. Again, what I said, the cover is already the created a VPS file, and if I open this VPS file, we will see that everything is added on it. That means we have the color bar, and we have the marks, and we can also make the front transparent to see how is the layout between the front and the back side. We can also measure if we want. We can measure the percentages of the color, and also we can see on which page, on which position. And also, is it possible to measure the distance between the crop marks to see if we have the right values there. When I check my body, then I will see I have a front and a back. It's easy to switch between front and back. And also I can do the same checks about paper size. The green line is the paper size, and we know exactly how is the pages positioned on the printing sheet. When I check these things, I can approve it, but before I will approve it, I open Insight, and the reason that I will open Insight, when I approve my VPS files, automatically an email will be sent to my customer, and we ask the customer to check his job and will approve it. With the button Open Insight in the workshop, it's very easy to open Insight, and we can check everything what we will show to the customer. In this case, I will send the preview to the customer, and I can look at the pages to see is everything okay. Do I have maybe bleed on it, yes or no? All that kinds of things I can check before I send my secure link to my customer. In this case, I will close it and go back now to my separations, and in this case I will approve my virtual proofs, and then when I approve it, you will see that we sent an email to the customer. About the page assignment in Prinergy, you saw that we do the page assignment in Multipress, automatically page 1 on page 1 or whatever. This information will be sent by GDF, and Prinergy will read this information when the GDF is coming in, and automatically we have the possibility to assign the PDF file on the right position. Now I go to my email, and I see in the meantime that I have an email from my job, and dear John, please can you click on this link to open the Insight. What's happened when I click on this link, it's a secure link. That means everything is in the inlog name and also the password. You don't need a separate inlog name and password. It's very easy for the customer to click on it and to open the preview in the web browser. It's exactly what I saw in the workshop. When I click on the Insight button, I can flip my pages, I can see my bleed, I can zoom here to maximum of 300%. If I need more, I can open the same page in preview, and then we can scale to 6,400 percentage. I can approve page by page, or I can reject page by page. And if I reject the page, I can also give some annotations to say why I reject the page. But if you have a lot of pages, it's a lot of work to approve every page. So I can approve all the pages in one time. And when I approve the page, automatically the job will be changed in Prinergy. It was now, the job was sent out for pending for approval. If I go back now to Prinergy, then I will see that the status of the job is moved from pre-jobs to jobs. So now it's an official production job. And you see ready for final output. So now we can start to make plates. And if I go to my job, I have, this is the job before, all the information in the custom fields about paper, about press and plate size. So automatically I can push the button again for auto plate plates. Then all the information will be read from the custom fields and Prinergy output exact the right screen ruling and the right plate for this job. If I look to the history of this job, we will see that a lot of things goes completely automated. So that means the job is created automatic, the files coming in, it will be assigned automatically on the in position. And I'm the user Araxi, and you will see here for the first time, I check my virtual proof and I approve it. And then later on, the next status, I update my job, and on the end, I output my plates. So you see, for the rest, all the steps will be done fully automated by Prinergy in combination with RBA and the right information from the GDF from Multipress. Now we can go back to Christoph to see what has happened in. Oh no, wait! I forgot something. You saw that if we go back to separations, that we have the plate ID. The plate ID will be created on the moment that we output the plates. And the plate ID can be used to remake a plate. For example, I can take this one, I can copy this number, and professional servers create a remake web page. What we can do, we can copy this number in the plate ID, and what's happened, automatically the web portal is looking in the database of Prinergy and say, okay, now you want to make remake a plate from signature 2, and the color is yellow. If I agree that this is the right one, then I can submit it, the ID, and then automatically the plate will be made. This is something what can be used by a press operator or someone else. Also, we can show you later on that it's possible to do it from Multipress. Now I do submit ID, and if I go back to Prinergy, you will see automatically it will be like a remake from this plate. Also, this plate will be sent to Multipress. So if we go back to Multipress later on, we will see that we make one plate more for the remake. So now we can go back to Multipress and ask Christoph to show the information in Multipress.
Thank you, Ari. So reopening the brochure job, it's clear that again my status is on CTP. I think it would be strange if it wasn't. But when I go to the workflow part, you will also see that the whole process that we made to approve the files now can be seen by the order manager also in the job. So clicking on workflow and going on the bottom of the screen to approve files, you can see that the job has been approved and that also this information has returned to the order manager and he doesn't have to look for it in a pre-press environment. When we click on the workflow content and we double click to or we go to the part where we have the status feedback, you will see there that also the information is getting into our system, and I can see that 4 plates are made for the body and 37 are made for the body, sorry, and 4 for the cover. When I double click on the body plate making part, you see there also which plate has been remade. There's somewhere too, and I'm also here. I have also here the possibility to create a plate remake, so I can, from the order manager out, do the same thing and activate this whole process that Prinergy has made in their system. So I think very important in what Ari said is that with less information that I send to Prinergy, a lot of things can be automated, a lot of things can be done with RBA, can be created automatically without somebody that's touching the system. Is that important for the order manager? Yes. Does he look at every job individually? I don't think so. It's important that I can find this information, but it's true that I won't open every screen from a job and watch at the timers if they are changing. But what is important is that we have in our ERP a lot of modules who use this information. Let's say, think about the planning, for example. When I go to the planning, you will see that my planning is now filled up for today, and perhaps when you look at the job at the bottom, you have some colors. The first color that you see is the yellow color, which is the color of the status, so I know that this job is in a CTP status, so the order manager or the planner has immediately this information. But also these little control lamps that you see underneath are very important. The third and the fourth one, for example, is the control lamp of, are the files already there? Are the files approved? Are the plates ready? So this is all information that we can show. It's a little bit underneath the mouse, but you can see it, plates ready. And I think creating this connection between those two systems creates also an interactive way of speaking to each other, and I'm not necessary every time take contact with the prepress to know where is my job. I think this is the main goal of setting up this connectivity as easy as possible. I think we're coming to the end of our 2 cases, our 2 demonstrations. Perhaps going back to the slides, Thomas.
Yes, thank you, Christophe. So I think what we have seen here is connected solutions are stronger solutions. So we already had a Multipress connection with Prinergy, but we actually looked where we can actually improve it. So with this bidirectional GMF communication, what we've done is that you can actually go from order to plates with almost no manual intervention, right? Fully automated. So print as calculated, the calculation defines the imposition, right? Feedback from production to MIS, what you just saw, the planning boards, where you can see the colors, that comes from feedback from Prinergy. We use open standards, right? So we have a secure 2-way communication, that's the GMF job messaging format. We have built with this partnership a platform. We believe that can grow with new features and new functions. And we automated a transparent flow here between tightly integrated processes. You will see here increased efficiency, right? We have more jobs in less time, less errors, right? We were eliminating manual steps, and we can reduce costs in administration and production. So we're ready for business of today. Just checking out the time. That's good. I think we're right on track. So we will have time for a couple of questions. I see already a couple of them coming in. Maybe if there is a tab in GoToWebinar, that's the question tab. So you can open that up and ask us questions, and we will see. Yeah, there are some already coming in. I will give a little bit of time, and then we can tackle those. What we can do, we can already take a few here. I have a couple who are the same. So we have, where do you pre-flight? Do you do it on Multipress or Prinergy? And I have a question from Frederick. How do you handle corrections of bad PDF files? So it's a very valid point. So you heard Christophe saying that there is a Calas engine on Multipress, and that's the same for Prinergy. So you can do both angles. So now, of course, it's better in a fully automated process that if a file comes in and there is an error, that we tackle that. In Prinergy, typically how we do it, if a file comes in and we pre-flight it and there's an error, we will send an email with the error to the person, right? So pre-flighting is completely automatic. But of course, it's also true that the more we can do upfront, the better. So if we have a basic check when files come in, and we can do this on the Calas on the Multipress, then it does make sense. So we have it depends on the flow of the customer, what they want to achieve, but we can do the pre-flighting on both. I would say as soon as possible as a first check. And if you want to go the full automatic way, we can do it, of course, right inside Prinergy, right? Good question.
Okay. Yeah.
Can you use custom folding in Multipress? Christophe, I think that's one for you.
Yeah. It's true that what I show now was made with the standard GDF folding schemes. You can, perhaps if you can return to Multipress, Ari, when you go to the basic rates, there you have our catalog, and this catalog is imported from, it's in pre-calculation, yeah. It's imported from the GDF library. So this library is standard, but we're an open system. That means we're able to create their custom folding schemes. When a customer has something special or has a different way of finishing his jobs, and he wants to have for that a typical folding scheme, he can create that, and he can use that as the same way as with the standard library. So we're very open. I think it's the same thing on the Prinergy side. Those two are systems have the same way of working with that, isn't it, Thomas?
Yes, absolutely. So custom foldings is not a problem. I have another one for you, Christophe, while you have you on screen. Is there an Italian version of Multipress?
There, we have now Multipress in, I think, over 10 languages, something like that. And there is an Italian version on its way, yes.
Super. Why would you need to use the Plate ID website procedure? Can't you do this from the workshop? Yes, this is maybe not a very valid point, so this is maybe not clear. So you can always have, so the Plate ID, for the people who don't know, Plate ID is a barcode that we put on every plate who is unique. So it's an easy way to identify a plate. So of course you can do this from the workshop. You can type in the number and it will work. But what we've made is a web GUI for the press operators, because sometimes they're not logged into the workshop, or they don't want to do that. So they want to have a very easy way of typing in the number and a plate is made. So you can do both. You can do it on the workshop and you can do it from this GUI, right? But of course, you need to make sure that the GUI checks the plate ID, because you don't want to send the new plates. That's why there is also a check what kind of job or what kind of plate it is that you want to have to make again. You mentioned the demo is run in the cloud, but how do we connect to the ERP? Yes, very valid point. So here what we've done, we actually installed Multipress on a VM in the cloud. So this is sitting in Azure next to Prinergy, so on the same network. But actually it should be transparent for you, because what we do if you put Prinergy in the cloud is we connect your customer network with the cloud using VPN. So it's very transparent. You run the workshop like before, you run preps as before, but Prinergy is in the cloud. So if you would have an MIS already on your network, this MIS would be able to see Prinergy and they could be able to send GDF files. So it's actually quite transparent in the background, right? What happens if you make changes to some pages? Yes, corrections. So obviously, if you have corrections, also this can be automated, right? So in Prinergy, there is a choice if you have corrections, if it automatically overrides. What we typically will do is we will build an extra check, right? If you have a correction, there will be a need, I guess, to approve the page and to see if the correction is done. This can be done from the workshop.
From the Multipress side, Thomas, we can also reassign and resend when it's necessary. So even when a customer sends in a new PDF of 1 page, we can reassign as the same way as I showed you. And then we already had some testings about that. You have this as a new information in the workflow.
Can Multipress read XMP metadata directly out of a supplied PDF for purposes of instruction for job production? Well, I can elaborate. I'm not sure about Multipress, Christophe, so maybe you can do it afterwards. But for sure, we can do this from Prinergy, right? So, of course, you want to put it inside, I guess, the Multipress. But there are ways to catch XMP data from the PDF and use them in Prinergy to automate. But I'm not sure if this is something that's implemented in Multipress.
Perhaps it's not standard implemented, but like I told in the beginning, we have our API with everything that I've shown you today, even the fact that a PDF has been transformed into a job is possible with our API. So I think that is something custom made that we have to check what is the goal of it, and then have some extra development or something that's possible.
Yes, and we have another one. Lots of questions. That's good. We like that. Isn't the success of the workflow largely dependent on the integrity of the XLT interpretation and RBA business link of the Multipress incoming GDF? Yes, I see the angle here. So what we do is what you see. We need to grab as much metadata as we can, right? We need to know the press. We need to know the paper. We need to know all this info that comes from Multipress to automate further in Prinergy. Like what you've seen today is that we can automate the plate making. In the old days, you had, like Ari was mentioning, lots of final output process templates for every kind of plate, for every screening. So of course, you don't want to do this anymore. What we now want to do is automate this, and we grab the data from Multipress. And what I can see from your question is, indeed, what we need to do is grab that metadata. And for that, we have built, indeed, we call it GDF intent. And that will read all the metadata that we need to automate this further. But this is all part of a default integration from Multipress Prinergy. So that's all bundled, and we agreed on the format and where we need to put the tags. So that's been taken care of. But it's important for sure. We really need to make sure that, because everybody can talk GDF, but the devil is in the detail, and we need to get all the data inside Prinergy. Yeah, good question. What about the change concerning plate size during pre-press production? I guess that depends if it's a new imposition or not, right? Paper size. I guess if there's a new paper size, there will be a new imposition. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's how it is.
It's always a very important issue in connecting both systems. When there are changements at last minute, you should resend with the right information. But again, that's more, let's say, procedures in the organization than a software-wise issue.
Wow, I can't keep up with the questions. That's good. Hold on. How do I know what page position to put in if they only supply one page?
How do I know?
If there's one page, it will be it. Then there's only one page in the imposition, right?
Yeah.
Nick, maybe you can elaborate on the question, or dive into. So maybe we can, while I'm running through the other ones. I'm interested to see how workflow works with packaging, for example, some boxes for pharmacy. Yeah, so we have two impositions in. We have our Pandora and our Prinergy. So the demo we've done now is, of course, with Prinergy. But a GDF is a GDF. So I guess we can make a demo for you on. So maybe you can give us some details. We can prepare a proof of concept for you and how it would work for packaging. Yeah, good. It's a small tab, so I need to scroll a little bit down. Hold on. I think we've managed most. Yeah. And checking the dashboard. Oof, we're over time. So back to Kathleen.
Yeah, Ari, maybe you can put the presentation back on. Yeah. So I first would like to thank everyone for attending. If you would like to reach out to one of our presenters, feel free to do so. On the last slide, you'll see all their contact information details. As I mentioned already in the beginning of the call, we do appreciate your feedback, and I hope you can take another 2 minutes to fill in like a survey. It's not really a survey, but it's like 7 questions, which will help us to, one, manage and plan the next webinar, but also to understand whether this was of any value to you. And with this, again, I would like to thank everyone, our presenters, our attendees, for joining us today. And I wish you all a nice day. Thank you all. Bye.